Okay, we're here with Uwe Ellinghaus, the Chief Marketing Officer of Cadillac. Welcome to Detroit. You've got some expertise, some global expertise. What was your journey to General Motors, Uwe?
Yeah, my journey to General Motors was a journey to return to the car industry after spending 15 years with BMW, ending up in the same role, being Chief Marketing Officer. I fancied a little change and went to Montblanc, the luxury brand manufacturer, most famous for their iconic pens.
Yes.
Spent a year there, and then I got the question, can you imagine to return to automotive? And the problem with automotive is once you've been in it, it is so exciting that I said, yes, I can imagine going to automotive, provided it is a passion brand. And they said, well, it's Cadillac. And I said, okay, I'm interested because this really is a passion brand. Probably not a brand that appeals to everybody, but you either like it, love it, or you don't like it, but it is a brand full of dedicated, committed people and equally passionate products. And therefore, it was relatively easy for me to say yes to take this exciting opportunity.
Wow, and we're excited to have you in Detroit and your expertise at BMW. Certainly one of the brands that Cadillac has already successfully conquested this past year, a 1% market share gain.
Indeed.
In 2013.
Correct.
In the luxury segment. I know that Cadillac looks at BMW and Mercedes as their competitors, but also you're looking to take some market share away from Lexus and
Yes.
Infiniti, I would imagine.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, we conquer customers, ATS buyers, 70% of them are new to the brand. This says something. And the investments that were made in the new ATS and CTS really show that we have world-class products, and we can really win against the best in the industry on a product level. And it is, of course, my task to make sure that we get there also on an image point of view. Image is just this beast that lasts so long. And you know, we still have a legacy with a couple of negative image traits that Cadillac had, like some quality issues, for example. But I'm wholeheartedly convinced with these fantastic products, it will be able to overcome them. And I even think we can turn Cadillac into a global tier 1 brand. That said, it will of course take time and further investments.
I truly appreciate your transparency. Nobody's unaware of the history of GM, where they've gone from June 9th, 2009 until now.
Yes.
I happened to be at a Detroit Red Wings game in the Stanley Cup final when a guy who works at GM, I was sitting next to him, got the call that, tomorrow we're filing. It was the darkest moment in Detroit's history. We go from that day to this, where behind you is the 2014 Car of the Year according to
Correct.
Motor Trend.
Correct.
It's such a resurgence.
It is.
I lived in Detroit during that time, and white-collar men were out of jobs. Housing market was down. Nobody could sell their house, so we were not only landlocked, where we couldn't go get other jobs in Chicago or New York or LA.
I see.
We were stuck here, and there was no work. And somebody had to figure out how to get out of this. Now, I know that you believe this, and GM executives are paid to say that it's the products that brought the brand back. But there's a certain passion connection that had to be created around Cadillac, and that's the whole purpose of this show, Heroes of Detroit.
Yes.
People who are in positions such as yours to market them back on the world stage.
Correct.
You know a lot about Cadillac, having come here and looked at your big move to Detroit. If there were one moment that you thought there was a turnaround point within the brand, what would it be? How do you go from that day to Car of the Year?
Yeah, I think the tipping point model was the CTS and its outstanding success. Of course, the ATS probably is said to be an even better car in comparison to its competitors in the segment. I do not want to judge them, but I think they gave so much confidence back to the people working at Cadillac, working at General Motors, that this company and this brand can produce world-class cars. And you rightly talked about the passion. At the very end, the passion in our products is a result of the passion of the people that develop, produce, and sell these car vehicles. And I like passionate brands because they tend to have passionate employees on all managerial levels, from the factories to senior managers. And at the very end, passion brings motivation. And I have an incredibly dedicated and motivated team. They are all full of goodwill and really want to raise the bar in everything they do. And this is an almost everlasting competitive advantage that you cannot easily emulate. Everybody can claim the same in advertising and say we are as good, but people will find out. Yeah. And I'm wholeheartedly convinced Cadillac has such a unique strength because of the identification of the people behind it with this brand, that the best is, as I mentioned to you before, yet to come.
And I believe it 100%. When you talk about passionate staff, you've got your staff here at GM, you've got your media buying agency at Cara, and then you got your creative agency in Lowe's Campbell Ewald.
Correct.
We're actually going to be talking to Jim Palmer, who's the CEO of Lowe's Campbell Ewald, walking. I saw at the auto show you had that video was done by Campbell Ewald. That's tons of passion.
Yes.
I can't tell you how amazing it is that Campbell Ewald is in the position to come back and be Cadillac's agency.
Yes.
You know, they got the bad news not too far from that dark day that they were going to lose, after 91 years, the Chevrolet account.
Yes.
That's a big hit to take.
Yes.
Number one marketer in the. So now they're moved back downtown. They're attached to Ford Field.
Indeed.
They've got a lot of passion.
Yes.
Can you, any thoughts about Campbell Ewald and your partnership with them?
Yes, I really appreciate their work, and they have significantly contributed to this rebound in the brand image. Of course, there is more to do, and advertising is still a very, very important part of the marketing mix. We shouldn't forget that. But even the guys there rightly say to get the product substance right was the first step, because brands should always under-promise and over-deliver, and not the other way around. And in this regard, I think our advertising is spot on. Yes, we are confident. Yes, we acknowledge that we have confident customers who expect us to display this confidence, but still we are a little humble in our messages and don't blow our own trumpet too much.
I really appreciate that. I was at the Detroit Auto Show and I saw the launch, for example, for Acura.
Yes.
And it was, it was like all over promising. Maybe they can deliver on it, but even their spokesperson, Jerry Seinfeld, had tweeted, this is going to rocket us into the next stratosphere. What the hell does that mean?
Yes.
Like he was saying.
Yes. Yes.
And so I love that strategy, that humility. I think people will resonate with
Yes.
that. Any words about your digital strategy? You got to connect with a younger crowd,
Yes,
right? So
of course.
The ATS has got to be marketed to a younger crowd. Several years ago, the Buick brand, the average age of the buyer was like 72. That's come way down.
Yes, indeed.
What's the average age of a Cadillac buyer, and what's your goal to go towards that, and your thoughts of using digital to do that?
The average age is in the early 60s, which sounds at a first glance as if they were fairly old, but then we have to remind ourselves that other premium brands have almost similarly old customers. I think this age issue is overrated a little, because at the very end, I want Cadillac to appeal to younger customers as well as to older customers. We shouldn't forget that people stay fit and healthy much longer than in the past, and they continue buying new cars. And therefore, I always say, as much as I like to extend the target groups and get more youngsters in our cars, I do not want to lose our core clientele, people that have been loyal to this brand even in the darker periods. So
Yes.
I will not turn this into a hip cult youngster hipster brand or anything close.
Nice.
And I, in another interview, called women and young people the untapped potential, and the entire industry is saying that for 100 years. You sometimes wonder, when does the learning curve kick in, that the vast majority of premium car buyers are male and also need a certain age, because you simply need to have the financial means. With regard to digital, yes, I will increase the digital efforts further, but it is a myth that this is to appeal to a younger audience, because almost everybody is online in these days. And
Yes.
70% of all new car buyers use online during the purchase process at one stage or the other. And therefore, I think it's almost the new mainstream media.
Yes, no, that's a great point. I heard someone at Scott Kelly at Ford someone saying it's really stupid to say I have a Facebook strategy.
Yes.
It's just a digital strategy.
Indeed.
So,
Indeed.
So you're accounting for that.
And the great thing about the digital world is that it is not so different as people think. At the very end, what matters is content.
Yes.
And the channel is secondary.
Exactly. No,
exciting messages, spread them everywhere. This is the way forward.
Amen. So yeah, and I've got a guy who works for me. He's 23 and he's leasing an ATS and absolutely loves it. He's got
Good.
the 2-liter turbo. I've heard that's one of the best engines out there.
Yeah, it's an amazing engine. Absolutely.
And then so you have the Cadillac Escalade launching later this year.
Correct.
That is. That's the Cadillac of Suburbans, isn't it?
Of course,
and they call the
is.
Suburban the Texas Cadillac. But,
Yes, yes.
Talk a little bit about when that's coming out. And how many units you think you're going to sell
yes,
there.
we of course look very much forward to the launch of the new generation Escalade. It is a significant step up in terms of the product substance, although the old Escalade, the one we are currently delivering, is already a fantastic car. We paid utmost attention to improve the quality of the interior further. Everything, the finishing, the materials, the touch and feel is simply perfect. I have seldom been in a similar luxurious car, and I've been in many, as you can imagine,
Yes.
with my questionable past. And therefore, I have high hopes for the new Escalade. I think luxury buyers will be with us. This is almost the incarnation of a luxurious SUV, and Cadillac, the new generation, simply takes this to a new level. And to a certain extent, you can say, are we going over the top? I, of course, say, no, we don't, because customers have higher expectations than ever before. Yet I say this car is, in everything that it delivers, the comfort in driving, the performance, an amazing agility in relation to the size of the car, and this wonderful interior that you really must feel comfortable in, about as good as it gets in this entire industry.
That's well said. And you mentioned earlier about people staying in shape. Just a little bit about you. You look like you're in great shape. I understand.
In relation to my age, my biblical.
Well, I'm guessing your age is late 20s.
I'm saying that for 2 decades. No, I'm 44.
Wow.
And I am a passionate runner.
Okay.
And this probably helps me to stay fit, indeed.
Is it? Did I hear correctly that you may just like off and do a marathon on a Saturday?
Yes, indeed. That's absolutely true.
26 miles. Just
yes, easy.
good.
Yes.
How long does that take you?
3 hours and 30 minutes, probably.
That is amazing.
Yes, yes.
Wow.
I'm a little mad, but as I always say, it keeps me insane, and that's sometimes helpful in my job. But being serious, I just need some fresh air, and also being alone is great when you are
Yes.
bombarded with messages and people, as much as I
Yes.
enjoy it, but it is a nice counterbalance to such a job.
I think I'm going to run a little bit more based on that.
Yes,
That's encouraging.
and perception is not reality. I was told by a couple of colleagues that I should refrain from running in Detroit because not familiar with the area, I might run into bad areas, and I've been running around a lot. I didn't get to one yet. So I think, once again, Detroiters have reason to be quite confident about Detroit and maybe exaggerate even how dangerous it might be simply to go running, which it isn't.
No. This is people come here and they fall in love. It's the best kept secret there is.
It is.
You mentioned about marketing to women. Obviously, General Motors knows all about that, and that's why they didn't hesitate to have the first CEO in automotive history be a woman, Mary Barra.
Yes.
That's very, very exciting, and we're excited to see what she does. I'm sure you're going to be able to have a good synergy working with Mary. She's a product person.
Yes, indeed.
With the product background.
Indeed. I look forward. I didn't have the chance to meet her, but we'll see her soon, and I have all the confidence that she will elevate this company to unprecedented levels.
That's great. So here's the last question for you, because I know you got to go. I've got a couple of magazines here. One talks about automotive news. I showed this to you at the show.
Yes.
Where it's 5 years later, hell on wheels, when GM was carted out there in front of the world and the Senate, and the President of the United States got involved in
Yes.
making decisions, who's going to be here, who's not, to today, where we have Detroiter on a roll,
Yes.
Mark Royce on the cover of GM's Resurgence,
Yes.
and the passion that turned that around. You mentioned the CTS was maybe a bellwether for that. The first CTS that came out was Automobile of the Year.
Correct.
It wasn't the first, it was the first car of the year,
Yes.
the 2008 version.
Correct.
And I was almost disappointed to see that they were changing the body style until I saw this new one, which
Indeed.
again was
Yeah.
Motor Trend Car of the Year. We know that
Yes.
isn't bought.
Yes.
How is GM going to stay on this course with record sales, increased market share, conquesting? Is it now, having gone through this toughening, vetting period, that the gloves are off and you guys are hardened and strong and going forward? Can you talk about that passion? And that's my last question for you
Yes.
there.
Well, as ever, the competition is fierce, and our competitors are probably positive surprised by the quality of our current products. That at least what many people who talked to me during the show said, and they admire the turnaround. But of course, the empires will strike back, and they will say we need to beef up our products. But then, you know, I was never afraid of this competition. I think this industry is only as good as it is because the competition has always been so strong, and therefore it was declared to be dead many times, and it never really was. Once again, I'm optimistic that because of raising customer expectations and of competitors who are all after the same kind of customer, we will see that the entire industry once again will flourish. And still, there are many, many opportunities that really are untapped, like growth potential in emerging markets. And this is definitely something that is highly relevant for Cadillac as well. The brand is amazingly well known, even in markets where it has almost no street presence, because we hardly went there in the past. It is my aim to turn Cadillac into a global brand. That's why it says Chief Marketing Officer Cadillac Global. And there's still a lot to do, as no doubt China is an opportunity that is simply too good not to be fully exploited. And as successful as we are, there is more to come for sure.
Uwe Ellinghaus, we consider you a hero of Detroit. Thank you so much for giving us time for this interview.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
You bet. Thank you. What a